Today we're going to be filming a tutorial on how to get glowy and dewy skin, and I just thought that this was the perfect time just because it's starting to get a little bit colder, and I know most people's skin gets more dry in the colder weather, and so this is just a tutorial on just a foundation routine. I already did my eye makeup and eyebrows just so that way we can only focus on the skin. First, I will cleanse my face, which I've already done, with the Burt's Bees Intense Hydration Cream Cleanser. I have been using it for about like 6 months or so, and it's made a really big difference in my skin. I haven't been breaking out as much as I was, and I really like it. And next, I'm going to use also from Burt's Bees. It's the Complete Nourishment Facial Oil. And I will just take about 2 to 3 drops on my face. I will just put it in my fingertips first. It has a cute little dropper so you can measure that. I do like to put like more, it says 2 to 3 on the bottle, but I like to put more like 3 just because my skin is pretty dry. And then you'll want to rub it in your fingers first a little bit before putting it on. And I try to spread it pretty evenly. Next, you'll just moisturize after putting on the oil, which I think is really important because in the past I had tried using these oils and they like were almost separating my foundation a little bit because I know some people mix theirs with their foundation and I just don't really like the texture of that. I'm using Vanicream. It's kind of just like a sensitive skin moisturizer. It's considered a cream, so it's a little heavier, but I still find it pretty lightweight and just good to use for the daytime. It's not too heavy. Let's put that all over. And I like to bring it down to the neck too. And then what I will use next is from MAC. It's called Strobe Cream and it comes in a few different colors, and this one is called Pinklite. It's the most popular color and the original one that they even started carrying. I'll just put a little bit on my fingertip. You don't really need to use a brush because it's still kind of considered skincare / primer. It basically just gives your skin a dewy glow, but it's used underneath foundation. And for me, I like to put this all over the whole area of my cheek because it's not like a liquid highlighter where you only need to put it in the highlighting areas. You can kind of just put this all over the areas you want to like somewhat highlight. For me, my skin's pretty dry and I don't get oily in many places. I'd say the only areas I won't put this is the center of my forehead and my chin. But this may be different for someone else. I mean, I don't really see Strobe Cream as something that will make you oily. It just brings shine towards something that if you already are shiny there, maybe avoid it. But this can vary from person to person. A lot of people that have oily skin, I wouldn't really recommend them to put it in those problem areas because it might bring attention to it. Next, I'm going to apply foundation, and I am going to be using a mixture of 2. Although it's kind of fitting to what you like, you can use either or. I'm going to be using MAC ProLongwear Nourishing Waterproof in the shade NC20 and MAC Face and Body Foundation in the shade C1. And the Face and Body Foundation is very sheer and it's very dewy texture. It's not matte at all. So that's why I like to use this first, but I like a little bit more coverage, so I'll go with this after. But if you're someone who wants a little bit more coverage and their skin's on the oilier side but they still want to look glowy, I'll just go with this one because it's not matte, it's like a satin finish. Or if you're not looking for too much coverage, just go with this. Either one is still going to be good. I just think the mixture works the best for me. And at first, I'm just going to put a little bit in my hands actually. The Face and Body formula works better with your hands. You kind of like rub it with your fingers first to get a little bit more of a grip on it because it's very very sheer, but that way it builds it up so it's not as sheer. So I'm just going to rub a little bit in my hands And at first I'm just going to do a light layer of this, and then I'm going to go in with the other one on top. I find myself using quite more foundation, like product wise, compared to other ones when I use this one, just because it is pretty sheer, but I really like the texture it gives your skin. It looks very dewy, but I don't find it really like coming off throughout the day either, which I feel like is something that's hard to find in a foundation. I struggle kind of with getting good coverage on my nose. That's the only spot I really find foundation kind of like melting off throughout the day. So that's why I will go in with the other foundation and concealer to make sure it stays put. To take that other foundation, ProLongwear Nourishing Waterproof. It's one of my favorite foundations of all time. It is pretty full coverage though, so I won't use very much for this tutorial. And I will apply this one with a brush, but I'm going to take another product called MAC Fix Plus. This is a refreshing spray. You can spray it all over your skin when you're done with makeup, but it also can give a foundation a little bit more of a sheer, like dewy finish if you spray the brush while applying it. So I'm going to use it both ways, but first I'm just going to take this brush. It's what is it again? It's number 130 from MAC. It's like a little stippling brush. I like it because it's small, so you can really get like into like the lines, like especially like right here in like the inner part of your eye, and like it, like sometimes like I've noticed my foundation will come off right here, so I like this one because it gets really close. Okay, and then I'm just gonna apply this foundation on the back of my hand. I'm not gonna use very much, and we'll keep building from there. With this, I like to kind of press it in and go in little circles to blend it. It's gonna take a little bit more. In the areas, basically I have kind of a lot of redness on my cheeks, so I kind of like to cover that a little bit more. I know I'm gonna already be going in with concealer underneath my eye, so I don't really need to put on too much foundation right there, just because otherwise if I do, it'll become too cakey. Okay, so next I'm just going to take my concealer, which my all-time favorite concealer is actually a drugstore concealer, which I feel like would be a good thing for anyone because it's really cheap. But it's Maybelline Fit Me, and I wear the shade Fair, also 15. It has both names. And I just find that it's the only concealer I can wear underneath my eye that's not too dry, not cakey, doesn't crease. So it's pretty creamy. I don't really know how this would work on oily skin. It might be a little bit too creamy, but I love it for myself. I'm just gonna put it underneath my eyes, a little bit down the center of my nose, and the center of my forehead. Gonna be using this Real Techniques brush. I don't remember which one this is called, but it's just like my favorite brush of all time for concealer. It's really easy. I just pat in the concealer, and I find that that works the best instead of trying to blend it too much, only because then it'll take off what's underneath. Next, I'm going to set those areas that I put the concealer with powder. Although I think that it's kind of a thing that people think they have to put powder all over their whole face, but you really don't have to, especially if your skin's a little on the drier side like mine. I only put powder in the places where I put concealer, and if you get a good enough foundation that's long lasting, your foundation shouldn't come off or anything like that, especially if you want it to be glowy. You don't want to set it and make it all matte. So I'm just going to take a little bit of, I always forget the name of this one. It's the MAC Prep and Prime Translucent Finishing Powder. It's, I like translucent powders for underneath the eye, and I only use a little bit. Like, I'll pour some into like the cap or whatever, dip it in with this same brush I put the concealer on, and tap off the excess. So I'm only putting a little bit, otherwise it can look cakey. And I'll only like pat it only underneath the eye. And then I'll take a little more for the center of my forehead, because sometimes I get a little shine right here. And down the center of my nose, because I do get shine there sometimes. And the foundation will also kind of come off, which this is going to set it and keep it in place too. Okay, and so now, after the sunset is set, I'm going to be taking this NYX Born to Glow Liquid Illuminator. This one is the lighter of the two. They only have two shades. It's called, don't remember the name. Oh, Sunbeam. It's called Sunbeam. This one's really pretty. I like the darker shade too. I just use that one more as like a liquid bronzer because it's dark for me. And I just squirt a little bit onto my finger. And this one I'm not going to put all over my face. I'm only going to be putting it in the areas where I would put a powder highlighter, and I'm just going to put it underneath, pat it in to intensify that. Put it above the eyebrow a little bit, and I do like to pat this in because it's like a light pink color, and while it is like pretty, I need to make sure it stays where I put it, otherwise it can look a little messy. Gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then for this one I'm not gonna put it down the center of my nose. I will do that with a powder, but I feel like with the liquid it's a little bit too much for me. If you were doing maybe something that was a dramatic makeup, like you were going to a formal event and you had like your eyes super smoky, you might want to incorporate that, but otherwise I think it's a little like too much personally, especially because this one is kind of pink. So add a little bit more. Going to be taking my contour color, and I have this in like a little palette, but I put it together myself. The color I'm going to be using is called Harmony. They also sell it separately. It's a really good contour if you have pretty fair skin, because it's really light and it's considered a blush, but it's very like a gray tone, so it kind of leaves like a shadow on your face more than if you were to take an orange-ish colored contour. I think sometimes people do that, and I think it looks a little too unnatural. I'm not going to be going too hard on like the contouring bronzer type of thing, because it's going to be focusing on the highlight of your skin, I would say, for this tutorial. But I'm going to put some in the hairline. I have kind of a pretty square shaped forehead, so I kind of like to make it look a little rounder, but I think almost everyone kind of benefits just from a little bit right here, because it looks well rounded when you kind of bring it all together and not just all placed on your face. I'm going to take this and go in with my cheekbones. This brush I'm using, by the way, is a Morphe brush. I don't remember the number on this one, but it's a really good one for contouring. Alright, so then after the contour, I like to take a bronzer. This one's from MAC. It's called Matte Bronze. And I'm just going to be using a little bit of a bigger brush. This one's also from Morphe, and it's the R2. It's better to use a bigger brush for bronzer because I'm not going to be applying as much product, and I want it to go on more sheer and lighter. I don't want to be placing exactly where it goes kind of thing. I'm just going to be taking a little bit and kind of placing it like that across my cheeks rather than going down like a contour. And I kind of brush it back into it. And I do the same with the sides of my hairline right here. Now, just moving on to blush, it's gonna be the one that I'm choosing to use is called Warm Soul from MAC. It's one of the Mineralize blushes. It's like the perfect peachy pink color that you can kind of wear every day, but I tend to like peaches versus pinks on myself because I feel like it looks better with my skin tone. But this blush is pretty universal. I think it looks good on like even people that are a little bit deeper in skin tone versus pale. It's a really like universal blush color. I really like it. Has a little bit of shimmer but not too much. I'm just going to be using this brush by Sonia Kashuk. Can't remember what it's called. I'm just going to put this in the apples of my cheeks. And I kind of like to brush it back into the contour with the bronzer I have. You're going to apply the highlighter over that liquid highlight that I put right here. And I'm going to be taking a palette. It's the Les Amours Exotic Face Illuminator collection by Laura Mercier. And excuse this because I know this mirror is going to be really dirty. But it has 4 colors in it, and I basically mostly just use this one for myself. It's the lightest color, and I don't think it has a name on here, but it's the... Oh yeah, it does. It's called Devotion. I'll use that color. It's like a really, really light pink. It's like the same color as the Strobe Cream Pinklite that I used all over my face. And I just got this M530 brush by Morphe. Gonna dip that in there. Kind of like to I mean, I like barely move it around, but I move it around a little bit. I'm not completely patting it, but I like to make sure that I have a little bit of product on my brush at a time, because I think it's pretty easy to overdo a highlight and make it like too thick or like not the right placement. And with this, I will take it down the center of my nose. Just because I skipped this step with the liquid one, I still want that effect right here, just not as dramatic. And I'll take that and put it on Cupid's bow a little bit. It's kind of hard to catch the highlight on camera sometimes. I feel like you can't see it quite as good as it is in person, but this one's super pretty and it does have a decent like bounce back to it. I like it. So then I'm just going to spray my face very generously with that same Fix Plus product I used when I sprayed it onto my brush. And you're just going to take it, I don't know, like almost a foot away from your face. I mean, you just don't want to get too close or else it'll leave like splotches of wetness. You want it to be all over. So then I'll just spray it, honestly, like a few different times. If you spray too much, I feel like nothing really happens. Like, it's just beneficial regardless, so I like to spray it a lot. Okay, so then you just wait for that to dry. And this product is like my all-time favorite product, like across makeup brands, just because I feel like there's not really anything like it that I've tried that I like so much. If you're looking for a setting spray for something where you're like, I just want my makeup to stay in place, like I'm gonna be out all night, that kind of thing, Fix Plus really isn't like for that. That would be like the Urban Decay Urban Decay All Nighter Spray is super good. I like that one. But this one just makes your skin look dewy. And it just enhances everything that has like a glow to it. And I just love it because it makes your makeup look new. And I totally recommend it to everyone who hasn't tried it. They have a travel size version of it. It's more like a better deal if you get the larger one, but if you get the small one, it's also really nice because you can keep it in your purse. And if you're working all day, like literally you spray this on your face a little bit and your makeup looks like you just put it on, which is awesome. Okay, now that that's dried, I'm just gonna do a quick lip that I think would look good with this. I'm gonna be taking, it's called Boldly Bare MAC lip pencil. I like to fully fill my lip in for the combo I'm doing right now. I am going to be using a lip gloss from MAC. It's called Shapeshifting Peach. This is like one of my favorite lip glosses ever. I'm not normally like a lip gloss type of person. I always prefer lipstick. Although this color is just really, really pretty, and this color paired with the lip liner I think too is like really important because on its own I don't like it as much. It's like a bright orange, but over like a neutral like this, I love it. And you could use any lip color for this look because it's just a foundation tutorial. Although I would suggest a gloss just because I feel like it kind of enhances the overall like dewiness to the face. I mean, some people just don't like gloss, so you can just do a lipstick. Although I do think it kind of helps. Like I said, for your eyes, same thing. Although I kind of like to use more like shimmers or like something with some kind of texture going on. If it's just matte, I feel like it takes away from the glow of the face, so. But yeah, thank you for watching. It's my first tutorial, so it's probably gonna have a few mistakes and hopefully I can edit good enough. And that you keep watching and subscribe and all that jazz.